Welcome back, everyone. Rising house prices, a sluggish economy and a competitive job market is the perfect storm, causing grown children to turn to their parents in order to get ahead financially.
So with more parents paying the way for their kids, even after they've flown the nest, how do you say no, and when should you actually lend a helping hand? For more, we're joined by Effie Zahos from Money Magazine and behavioural expert Dr. Bruce Wells. Effie, let's start first with you. So if you're gifting or you're lending children money, what are the most important things to discuss straight away?
Look, you should never give money to your children without strings attached. And I hate saying that as a parent, but I would never lend money to my children without conditions.
So what are the conditions?
Well, each situation is different. And the reason being, David, is that we are fraught with danger when we just give money like that for a number of reasons. And I've got some tips up on screen there.
Go see a lawyer. It's your kids.
Yeah, but you have to. The reason being, what you say verbally, yeah, it can stand up in a court of law. But then, 10 years down the track, can you remember what you said, what your child assumes? You've got other children as well. In a lot of cases, we don't all help children the same amount. Some of them need a little bit more help, and then later on you might help the other through your wills and so on. So seeing a lawyer, even though it could cost up to $1,000 to get these agreements in place, is money.
Well worth the money.
Well worth. Because let me give you an example. You were talking about before, property is very expensive to get in. You want to give your kids, maybe a deposit. 1 in 3 parents actually do give their kids a deposit money.
Sure.
Let's say you're really loaded and you give $300,000 to buy $1 million house, okay? The child then gets married. 10 years down the track, they divorce. That $300,000 that could have been your retirement fund or your retirement fund will then get split with their partner. Now, I strongly believe that if you had a loan agreement in place that you said that was actually a loan, I don't expect you to pay interest on it until after you paid your mortgage, or, you can organise all that your own way. But if there is something in writing, then you protect it.
But if you sell that asset, I need to get it back.
And it does. It happens a lot. But Dr. Bruce, if you're a parent and you want to help, but you're not in a position financially to do so, because it is hard for people who are in retirement, how do you say no?
Fantastic question, and great to hear Effie's perspective this morning. Now, I was reading a report recently. They did a study in the States in 2013, Sonia, and they asked parents all across America whether they gave financial assistance to their children. And they found, incredibly, that 59% of parents actually gave regular financial assistance to their children. Now, the most interesting part of this survey was they asked the parents, why did you give them this regular money, or why do you regularly give them the money? And they said it's so that they wouldn't have any struggles in life. But hold the phone. Let's think about this. It's the struggles, it's the daily little setbacks that we have, the challenges that actually teach us resilience. They teach us how to be more optimistic. They teach us how to budget our money, how to live within our means, how to set goals. All of these things are incredibly important. And one other thing as well, I would sit down with my child and I would ask them, or I would explain to them the difference between needs and wants. There's a lot of pressure on young people today, children and young adults, I'll admit. They're being told all the things that they have to have a sense of self-worth and to be happy. For example, I'll tell them they need to have a hairstyle like Kim Kardashian. They'll tell them they need to have a sleeve like their favourite AFL footballer. They'll tell them they need to wear David Beckham's underwear. Well, maybe not actually wear his underwear, but the type of undies he's promoting. But if we think about it, these are wants. They're not needs. And positive psychology tells us that our wants only contribute about 10% of our happiness and our self-worth, our belief in ourself, whereas a whopping 40% of our happiness is actually due to our everyday thoughts and behaviours. So I'd be explaining these things to them, and I'd tell them also to take more responsibility for their consequences. We're in an age at the moment where, as you know, everyone is trying to sue everyone. They're looking for excuses not to take responsibility. So I teach them to take responsibility.
Right. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Bruce. Just say no. It sounds
Is that
someone up that way. Thank you.
No money
within
here.
their means.
There's no cash here, kids.
No
cash
cash.
here.
Move on.
No.
And for more information about keeping the peace in different parts of your life, visit Dr. Bruce's website, drbruce.com.au.
Thanks.